In fact, this is the voice which I have in my book called The Voice of My Soul. I think I'm alive today because of this voice. Because at one fine day, I was sitting in my balcony and I was at the rock bottom of my life. And I actually thought to myself that, Swati, why were you even born? Like I was so distraught with the adversities in my life. And that's when I started listening to this voice. And, that voice told me that, Swati, you will not give up.
उद्धरेत आत्मनात्मानं नाथ मानव सादायत आत्माय व्यहात्माय नो बंधुर आत्मनैव रिपुर आत्मनः. Chapter 6 verse 5 of Bhagavad Gita. Elevate yourself through the power of your mind and not degrade yourself, for the mind can be the friend and also the enemy of the self. We all go through adversities in our life. Life is not a straight path from point A to point B. Difficult situations do come, but what is important is how we elevate from these difficult situations through the power of our mind by being our own friend. We all heard about the word soulmate, but how can be our own mate? That's what I'm going to talk about with my guest today. I'm with Swati Sharma, who is the author of the powerful motivational book, The Secret Sauce is You, Being Your Own Mate, that has been touted as the modern day Bhagavad Gita. When she was born, her parents named her Abhilasha, which means a wish. But she did not like her name, so she got it changed to Swati. And till today, she still carries her mother's maiden name. Because her father believed that legacy and lineage should not be only in her father's surname. And he's probably the only father who does not have any issues letting his daughter carry his wife's surname. Her book talks about how rock bottom in your life holds the key and power to transmute your adversities into wisdom. The book was launched last month by National Award-winning actor and motivational speaker Ashish Vidyarthi ji. The book has been gaining a lot of momentum and limelight since its launch. Swati was born and brought up in New Delhi and lives in Gurgaon. She studied rhetoric, the art of persuasive writing, and public speaking from Harvard University. She is also an advanced landmark graduate and ISTD postgraduate. She won the National Award and Scholarship from the Ministry of Tourism for academic excellence in her Bachelor's of Science in Hospitality and Hotel Administration. In her book, apart from coining the term own mate, she also devised a theory called opposites theory and concepts like emotionally challenged to emotionally challenged. So what does that mean? Let's talk to her and find out. I'm excited to talk to her. Let's get started. Hi Swati, thank you for joining. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Bitupan. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. So Swati, this is your first book, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Excited?
Well, exactly the same question that you asked. First of all, thank you for having me on your show.
Welcome.
I think you are doing some exemplary work, and I wish you all the best in this great endeavor of yours.
Thank you.
Coming back to what you said about being excited, everyone usually, is asking me that, are you excited, exultant, happy? But I don't know why, but I don't feel any of that. I just feel like a calm sea on a bright sunny afternoon.
Calm sea on a bright sunny afternoon. All right. That's nice.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to know.
Feel very calm.
I'm interested to know how did you become a writer? I mean, from childhood, did you really want to become a writer, or where was the shift that started happening? Can you tell about your story?
Bitupan, it wasn't that I always wanted to be a writer, when I was born. No, it wasn't like that. It's just that after I lost my father suddenly and untimely in October 2014, I just randomly wrote an article on LinkedIn one fine day. It was 14th of August. Next day was an off, and I wasn't able to sleep, and I just penned it down. And that article is actually called "Be Hopelessly Hopeful." It's still there on LinkedIn, and that article is actually the 7-day journey of my father when he was in the ICU, and my world only revolved around him during those 7 days. According to me, I don't know the more literary work that I'll produce in future and the one that I've just now produced about my first book, but I think to me that will always be a masterpiece. And so I just got rave reviews on it from people across the world. And many people reached out to me and said that they can relate to my pain. They
Hmm.
understand what it is, and they could see their pain in what I've written. And that is when I started to realize that this is my calling. And this was in 2014. So now it was about like what, 7 years back.
7 years.
And yes, and I don't know, but then there was something inside me that I started telling people around me, my tribe, that I want to write a book. I want to write a book someday. I didn't know on what, when, how. It's only 3 years back that I started writing The Secret Sauce Is You.
Hmm.
So yeah, for 4 years it had come to me, that there was something inside me. And it came to a point that I couldn't contain it in myself. And also to what you're saying, but now in hindsight, I realize that, in school and college, when we used to write examination sheets, right? I used to take a lot of extra sheets.
Hmm.
And I used to
Okay.
take it quite fast. And
Ah.
people around me, my schoolmates and college mates, like, oh my God, Swati has taken 6 sheets. I have not even taken one. And so, yeah, that is one thing that uh, maybe it came writing used to come very naturally to me. I could fill pages. Like I'm saying, within half an hour, I'll just finish that complete sheet which we used to get, 13 pages, and then I'll just take extra sheets. And I used to always break this record of taking 12 extra sheets, 15 extra sheets, and everyone outside when after the exam would be like, "What were you doing?
Hmm.
Keep giving us this complex." So
Hmm.
I think I always maybe had it in me. And also in all the organizations I've worked, everywhere, I'm so glad they respected my talent and they would make me the editor of, their internal magazine. Like when I worked with Taj, so their magazine which they had, and Taj Buzz was a magazine there. And every organization invariably they would have their newsletters and they would say, okay, you become the editor. And I would
Nice.
just pick up that because it came very organically to me.
So
Yeah.
I think you will get into the flow state when you start writing. You know about flow state? Every
Yes,
artist,
yes,
everybody
beautiful.
who goes into the deep work, which is called the flow state. By the way, something interesting is that you said, I have heard one of your interviews. You said that you have done a lot of research, and your or everything that you have written is backed up by science also, right? And you have learned many
Yes.
things while doing research. So I'm interested in this because I also like, I mean, I have a curious mind. Okay. I do a lot of research on different things on the internet.
Wow.
I want to know, what research did you do, and what all things that you learned from your research? I mean, is there something that have blown your mind away that you have learned from your research? Please share some examples.
Wow, that's a great question, Bitupan.
Hmm.
Yes, of course, there were many, I had many moments of epiphany, and I had many like, oh my God, types of moments
Hmm.
during my research. So, so this book is fiction, and the main protagonist is called Rue. And during her, rendezvous when she finds her own mate. And her own mate tells her that which is your most go-to place, and she says Ladakh. And she
Hmm.
actually goes to Ladakh, and there she meets a monk called Beju. Oh,
Hmm.
this is just okay. Beju also starts with B, and Bitupan also starts with B. It
Uh,
just
uh,
sort of struck
okay.
me.
Uh,
Okay, and specifically, I'm in awe, by the way, of the yoga that you do and the kind of wellness stuff that you're doing. And my God, you are inspirational, Bitupan.
thank
Seriously.
you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so then she goes to Ladakh and she meets this monk called Beju. So I basically was intrigued always that what is it with silence that the monks have discovered and the world is also bowing to? There is
Hmm.
Vipasha, and people believe in silence, and of course, the kind of life of solitude that they lead.
Hmm.
So for my book, I actually went to Ladakh to do my
Oh,
research.
nice.
Yes,
Nice.
and I met many monks, and let me tell you, they are like any one of us. They also have a Facebook account. One of them, he also showed me. He said, I
Ah.
said, and I was like, I was, I behaved like, I was like, are you on Facebook? He's like, why not? He
Ah,
said, the world is flat today. Why not? So I learned many things from there. And
like,
one of the things, yes, so one of the things which I learned, for instance, about this thing about, silence. Okay.
okay. Hmm.
Now, and I also did extensive research for my book for 6 months into quantum physics, Greek philosophy, and psychology. So
Hmm.
one of the startling things I came across that, okay, so when do our brains actually rest? When
Hmm.
do they rest? And uh, I realized and I learned from neuroscience as well that our brains only rest when we give silence to them. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Like if some people think that, okay, I've had a good night's sleep, my brain, okay, also got rested. Let me tell everyone today watching this that when we sleep, our brain is the most hyperactive. In fact, all
That's
the
true.
activities like purge, yes,
Right.
like purge, etc., it's most hyperactive. But
True.
then in the moribund city lives we all live, when do our brains rest? The only time our brains rest is in silence.
Hmm.
In fact, and this is scientifically proven, by the way.
Hmm.
And in fact, in my book starts in Finland, by the way. Rue is in Finland with her parents, and she's extremely happy. And she's in La La Land. Let me tell you, Finland. They actually market Finland, and they say, in fact, there is a watchmaker there, and they say, "Made in Finnish silence."
Ah,
They,
nice.
yeah, they mark because Finland is famous for silence, right?
Hmm.
Now, that is one thing. Now, another thing is which I learned from the monks there in Ladakh is about smiling. I
Okay.
asked them because I actually lived with them in their monastery and I ate the food, that they ate it, which is so delicious and so raw and so nice. So I asked them, I said, why do you keep smiling? And how do you keep smiling all the time? Like, you don't have any stress or tension in life. Like, come on. I'm sure we all we feel emotions. And, if someone near to us is going through something, we get upset, we get morose, don't you?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and how can you smile like 24/7?
Hmm.
So, they taught me, Bitupan, that our smile it's actually a brain hack. You can hack
Brain
your brain.
hack. Okay.
Brain hack. Yes,
Okay.
you can hack your brain through smile. Now how? Smile is the only thing that produces a, a psychological reaction to this physiological reaction. See, usually what happens is
Got it.
everything is a physiological reaction, and then there is a psychological reaction, right?
Hmm.
For
Hmm.
instance, if I get hurt, say if I accidentally cut my finger through a knife while I'm working in the kitchen, right?
Hmm.
So what's going to happen? There is going to be, I'm going to feel pain. Okay, there are going to be those hormones, secreting in my brain, which are going to be, first is going to be fear. Okay, and all those hormones will secrete of pain, healing,
Hmm.
etc., and all that stuff. Now, how do you actually teach your brain to be calm always? Okay, when you smile, your brain thinks you are happy, and it
Got
starts
it.
secreting those happy hormones, serotonin, all those hormones. And if you keep smiling all the time, your brain, this is called as, in fact, there is a scientific term to that. I was actually reading something else yesterday. You can actually train your brain to actually think that it is always happy, and it gets
Hmm.
habituated that ways, right?
Nice.
So if you keep, for instance, I remember when I joined my Zumba class, and this was, in hindsight now I know today, our trainer used to always tell us to smile. And even after, when we reached the 40th minute of those strenuous Zumba sessions, and he would be like, "Oh, smile, smile." I would be like, how do you expect us to smile? We are sweating, and you're making us do these strenuous moves. And then he used to teach us that no, you have to smile. And later during my research, I learned that when you smile, you're actually giving signals to your brain that you are happy. And this is what the monks taught me. Because we keep smiling, our brains have now been trained that I am happy. And
Hmm.
hence, and then it's a vicious circle. Then you are happy, then the brain is secreting those hormones, you are smiling, and so it's a brain hack. Your smile is a brain hack.
So
It's a
I have also done some
physiological
research on
reaction.
this, not exactly on silence, but I was doing research on visualization, the power of imagination and visualization. So what I learned is
Mhm.
that the brain does not know the difference between something happening in reality and something that we are making up. So is it something similar that you were saying? When we imagine something and with full attention, we completely in deep imagination, the brain thinks that that event is actually happening right now in the present moment. And there is one person by name Dr. Joe Dispenza, who,
Yes,
you know him. All right, I listen to a
yes,
lot of his talks, and that's what he says,
yeah,
that how actually visualization works in manifesting your desires that you want. You have to imagine something. If you want to be successful, you just have to imagine that you are successful. If you want to have a villa on the seaside, then you have to imagine that you actually have that villa on the seaside, right? For athletes, especially for athletes, they have to
yes.
imagine that they have already won the game, they are already performing on the game. So the brain thinks that the event is happening right now at the present moment, and
And it,
it works accordingly. Yes, yes, I got your point. Nice.
yes, and it starts creating your reality then. It's
True, true.
actually, in fact, that's what quantum physics also talks about, right? That's
Quantum physics
quantum
is
physics
interesting,
in.
by the way. Very interesting.
It
And
is, in fact, a very interesting thing is that, so I also studied the Newton's three laws again
uh,
because I realized that there is a lot which I don't know why which we can apply in our daily lives. So
uh,
the third law of Newton, which says that, to every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So in
reaction,
my
yeah.
book, I have added to Newton's law, okay,
Okay.
and I have said that taking a cue from what Newton's third law is, to every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, and sometimes even more.
Even all right, the effect gets compounded.
Absolutely, it's absolutely, like as you're talking about imagination, the imagination exercise. So it is an action, and you
Hmm.
see the reaction, and sometimes even more if you can create something which your mind can conceive in reality.
Hmm.
It is, of course, sometimes it is more. It is something more that you've created out of it.
Nice. So let's come back to your story now. That's interesting that you have done so much research. Uh, I understand the situations that you have gone through. That must be difficult, very difficult phase. But then, when you have some difficult situations, we start getting some voices in our head. It starts
Yes.
giving reasons to us that the difficult situation is because of this. You are bad because of this. There is a voice. It goes on all the time. I think you will agree to this. So, and it must have
Yes,
happened to you
absolutely.
as well. So I want to know, how did
Yes.
you overcome that? How did you fight with that voice inside you?
I didn't fight.
What
In
did you
fact,
do?
let me tell you, in fact, that voice made me fight my adversaries at rock bottom. I
Hmm.
didn't fight it. You know what happens with Bitupan? It's a great question that you asked. Throughout our lives, we keep fighting with this very voice that's coming from within us.
Hmm.
And we fight with it so much that we just shun it away. It just goes into a silent mode. We subdue it so much that we actually just mute it. And in fact, this is the voice which I have in my book called The Voice of My Soul. This is the voice that actually, I think I'm alive today because of this voice. Because at one
Hmm.
fine day, I was sitting in my balcony and I was at the rock bottom of my life. And I actually thought to myself that, Swati, why were you even born? Like I was so distraught with the adversities in my life. And I thought that, why are you even born, Swati? And that's when I started listening to this voice, and that voice told me that, Swati, you will not give up. And I said that, and of course, with at rock bottom, a very funny thing happens that you stop trusting even your inner voice. And of course, I didn't listen to this voice at the first go. I had my own trust issues with this very voice coming from inside me, but this voice was very smart. Okay, she knew the GPS to actually, get to my heart. After all, it was my soul speaking to me. This, in
Hmm.
hindsight, I realized, and I've in fact, there's a line in my book which says that the voice of your soul is your umbilical cord with the cosmos. And so I paid heed to it, and today I am what I am, and this book could happen only because of the voice of my soul. But one thing, there is one aspect of your question that I want to put forth here, that some of us watching this today, and I don't know if you agree to it or not, sometimes the voice talks negative stuff in our head, right?
I think most of the time for most of the people.
Okay,
Huh.
yes. Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's very honest confession.
Yes. Yes.
Now I want to tell everyone today that if you are hearing a voice in your head and that's negative, I want to tell everyone today that's not the voice of your soul. Now you will ask me, what is
Hmm.
that voice? So neuroscience has proved that until 7 years of age, for all of us, our software is frozen. And today we are all walking, talking products of that software until those 7 years of age.
Hmm.
Now, how did that software got built up? In whatever environment were we born, uh, people around us, they were also going through their own tough times.
Hmm.
Relatives, schools, school friends, teachers, and whatever. And the mind, as you said, doesn't know what's right or wrong. It just absorbs and creates that software, and we are all a byproduct of that software.
Hmm.
So I want to tell everyone, those negative voices are not the voice of your soul. Those negative voices are the voices around you that you unconsciously picked up, not your fault. And I would also say not the fault of the people around you also. It can be just a neighbor, or it can be a nagging relative at house, or could have been an influence of, maybe say, a maid, or it could have been maybe the influence of, you know uh, some negative environment at home, some unhealthy environment at home,
It's not
which is
their
not.
fault because they are also victims, right?
Yes, yeah, no one's perfect. And so that's the negative voice, which is coming out of a software which I think has gone redundant. Now
Hmm.
I would not just like to leave this here. Now, what's the solution? Everybody would
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to know, okay, so what do I
Of
do if
course.
this, you can always, now the power of repetition, you can always override that software. It's not easy, it's very tough,
Yeah. It's
but
tough. Yeah.
then,
True. I
yes,
know.
but you can always override it
Hmm.
through positive affirmations, through say for example, if someone just repeatedly says, to themselves that, I always make a mess, I always make a mess out of things, I always make a mess out of things. Now that's of course not your voice. Someone was there around you always, who was
Hmm.
always saying this, and you picked it up unconsciously, which is a part of your software. You need to start telling yourself now, I'm perfect at whatever I do, I'm
Hmm.
absolutely organized. You need to say it while you are brushing your teeth. You need to say it while you're driving your car, while before sleeping, when you get up. Anytime you get that thought, oh, I'm such a mess. Anytime you break something, say, okay, I'm learning, I'm organized. You have
Hmm.
to make this conscious efforts, and you'll see via repetition your new programming, which you are actually programming, which you are programming, not the people around you, will override your
Hmm.
old uh, software. Yeah.
So, do you suggest that when it comes to affirmation, we should be speaking loudly with our mouth, with actual voice, or just thinking in our mind?
I think that's a great question. If See, what matters in affirmation is the emotion attached to it.
Hmm.
Even if you
Nice.
are thinking it in your mind, but you are saying it very strongly, you're saying with a lot of power that I'm absolutely organized. I'm perfect in what I do. If you're saying it with a lot of energy, the universe listens to intention, and so everything is it's physics. Everything is
Right.
energy.
Right.
Yeah, and it just changes forms. It cannot be, it cannot be destroyed. So I would suggest, even if you're saying it in your mind, or even if you are saying it aloud, okay, you have to speak it with a lot of intention. I feel that when we speak it in our mind, sometimes it may not be possible. We may be at work, or at home people would but the best thing is, like, I know I'm programming myself of a particular thing, and now it's become such a habit. Every time I find myself like not doing something, or say just maybe just chopping tomatoes, my God, I mean, I'm just saying it, and I say it with so much power. I do it's so I have habituated my mind now. Yeah.
You know
And it
what?
will soon
I
change
also
that
do
reality.
lot of affirmations. All right, and
Okay.
you know, I used to think the affirmations before, but from right from Corona, when Corona started, and some people, most of the people say that Corona is a negative thing, but there are some positive people who say, oh, because of Corona, I got more time to learn something at home and all. The positive thing about Corona, what I think see is that putting a mask. You know what? When I go out, I put a mask. When I'm walking in the morning or when I'm riding or driving, I speak affirmations inside beneath my mask.
Wow.
Nobody sees. Otherwise, also I wouldn't have cared just speaking something while driving. But let's say somebody looks at me and I'm just standing on the road and talking to myself. Probably somebody may think that I'm mad or something. But right now I have a mask below inside on my mouth. Nobody knows whether I am silent or I'm talking something. So I think that is one positive thing that I have got from Corona. Uh,
That's a very smart thing that you're doing. In
yes.
fact, taking a cue from what you say you are doing with the mask. I am also, what I'm doing with the mask is that. So what earlier, if I'm just like walking in the park, or just driving, and I'm
Hmm.
smiling, people might think, is she
All
crazy?
right.
So now with the mask, I'm smiling. So basically, I'm hacking my brain always, and
Uh,
and also, maybe you can try this now. Now, as we are talking, even if you just smile, just smile.
okay. I'm smiling. All right.
Aren't you feeling good? Aren't you feeling suddenly? Aren't you feeling good?
True, true.
So,
I believe you. Yeah. I have
so in fact,
experienced
now
that.
what?
Hmm.
Yes. So in fact, now even if I'm like, say for example, I'm taking my mother to the hospital, and it's and I see that she isn't really well, and now what do I, how do I, like get out of it? And I know how I can hack my brain. So I'm wearing a mask. I'm driving. She's sitting behind. I'm the chauffeur. I'm smiling. And no one gets to know that she's smiling for no reason. But I know I'm hacking my brain, right?
Nice.
So that's a good thing with math that you and I are both doing.
Yeah, right. Okay, so date your demons. That's a chapter in your book.
Mm, yes,
What
yes,
does that
yes.
mean? I actually thought that date your demons means dating the inner voice, the negative voice that is there in your head. But what I have learned from you just now, I think that is not exactly the thing, right? What exactly is the
That's
date your demons?
okay. So now you also know today that negative, anything negative that your head is not your voice. It's not
Hmm.
this voice of your soul. It's the software. And now
Hmm.
we also know today that how do we actually override that
Hmm.
software.
Hmm.
So date your demons. So date your demons is like, why do I say, Bitupan, that this whole thing that I've written in my book, which is The Secret Sauce is You, which is, it's all about inner work. It's
Hmm.
all about inward journey. So in
Hmm.
this book, I take the reader, I hold their hand, and I take the reader inside themselves. Now,
Hmm.
why do you think most people don't get there? Or even if they even go there, they go near the periphery and they return back. You know how Arjun was completely deluded uh, on the battleground of
Hmm.
Mahabharata.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
He had fears and doubts. The same thing happens when we try and go inside. Why? Because there are demons there, our own demons.
Hmm.
We the moment we go to the periphery, our own demons start crawling to us, gnawing us with their scrawny mindset. And we are so fearful of what is happening that we just sort of, we come back. And then we make ourselves busy with, okay, let's go watch a movie, let's go for a holiday, let me just, okay, or let me scroll social media.
Hmm.
So, the band-aid approach, which I've called that a band-aid approach. So what I'm saying is, the only way out the only way you can conquer your demons is by dating them. I am not saying marry them. In my book, I've written this. I'm not, don't marry. I'm
Don't
saying just
marry.
date.
Date. All
Yeah,
right.
date. date them. It's only when
Hmm.
you, and you know what? The demons and our own demons are our best teachers. Because you
Hmm.
see, what happens is that in our environment, our parents are our first definition of hero, or they can be a teacher in someone's life, a mentor in someone's life. Now, they will never teach us what our villains will teach us and demons will teach us. They can
Hmm.
never be those. So they will be a hero, but what brings the hero within us alive? How do we become the hero of our life? The only way we become the hero is our villains, our demons. Okay, they invigorate and give birth to the hero in our life. And of course, the path is taught by our heroes, which is the foundation is laid by our parents, our
Hmm.
mentors, the books that we read, the people that we speak to, what we sow
Hmm.
in our mind. So, date your demons is about actually facing your demons, because
Hmm.
when you will face them, okay, now there is a whole process to that which is there in the book. When you will face them, when you will date them, they'll go away. That's the only
Nice.
way. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so
Yeah.
I
Thank
I
you.
just remembered one more thing I should have asked you
Hmm.
before. You
Yeah.
said that you had gone to Ladakh to meet the monks. All right.
Yes, yes.
I used to listen to one person by name Greg Braden. All right. He has some videos on
Hmm.
YouTube, and he says that he's also doing a lot of research on the monks, and he goes to Tibet and Ladakh and all. He meets monks. So he was saying that one thing he has learned from them is that uh, those monks are they have compassion inside them for everything. And he says that compassion is a very uh, it's on the highest level of consciousness, right? So I think how has compassion, what is the effect of compassion in your own life? And one
Um,
more thing, you also have one chapter I think which is about love, sex and ruthless compassion, right? Can you talk about
yes,
that
yes.
also? Hmm.
Sure. There is, in fact, so there is a subtitle of my book which says "Being Your Own Mate." I've
Hmm.
coined a term through this book called "own mate," and I'm not averse to the idea of a soulmate.
Hmm.
But if there is one thing that runs in the very blood of my book, that is love. And hence, there had to be a chapter called Love, Sex, and Ruthless Compassion.
Hmm.
Now, the reason I've written that chapter is that love is the highest level of consciousness in the universe,
Hmm.
highest level of consciousness in the universe. It's at the apex of that pyramid. And unconditional love, I think, is the strongest force in the universe. I
Hmm.
saw that, I'm seeing that in my father's love today, in my mother's blessings on me today.
Hmm.
Coming to sex, I've written about it because I don't know why it's a taboo. I do, there is always, I always say, there is a spring reaction to whatever you suppress. I've written in my book that that's the barometer of a relationship, as in terms of when I talk about a romantic relationship, right?
Hmm.
And the third thing is, which you asked me about, compassion. Now, I've through this book, I've coined a few terms, and one of the term I've coined is ruthless compassion. I've added a word called ruthless to it.
Hmm.
And the reason I've said ruthless is that uh, we all know, I'm sure you'll agree to this, that uh, nothing great is achieved without some discomfort.
Agree.
Okay. Yeah.
Completely agree. Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yes.
see that. I see that in your body of work, by the way, right?
Hmm.
Now, but now, does that mean that we don't have compassion for ourselves or others? No. It means that we are ruthlessly compassionate towards ourselves. I'll give an example, and I've given
Makes
that in my
sense.
book.
Hmm.
Now, how does an eagle teach its baby eagles to fly? Now, when they are born, she makes at the highest of the cliff, the eagle, the female and the male eagle, they make a very beautiful, the most beautiful, softest nest, cotton soft nest for the baby eagles.
Hmm.
Now, when it's time for them to fly, now what does the eagle do? Because they have become very comfortable, and and they're absolutely happy in their cocoon of life. The eagle, both the mother and the male and the female eagle, they actually bring twigs, thorny twigs. They start bringing
Ah.
them, they start placing it in the nest. Start placing it in the nest. And what then happens is when they start placing it in the nest, they start getting uncomfortable, and they bring in more thorns, and they take out the cotton and the soft leaves through which they've made the nest. So these, they start coming out. Now when they start coming out, they start falling, and of course the father catches them. And then the mother eagle then, she nudges another one, and it falls, and they catch them. And in the midst of it, now this is how the father and the mother eagle, that's how they teach them to fly. What the eagles are meant to do, to fly high, that's how they teach. It is not through just compassion. There has to be ruthless compassion to it.
Got it.
In fact, similarly, like how when a baby deer is born, now they don't get hospitals, swanky hospitals, or maternity, all those benefits. They do it, they just deliver it in the forest. So the baby deer is so slimy and so soft, and the hyenas and the other predators can really smell them fast. Now the moment this baby is born, the baby deer, the mother deer kicks the deer.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know
kicks
this.
it badly. Yeah, it
So
kicks
do
it
all
kicks it
animals do the
badly.
same, or it's only about the deers that they do?
It
I
is
mean,
about the
cows,
deers that
cows, do they do that, or other animals?
no,
They don't do.
there is a logic to why deers do that.
Okay.
There is a logic, and during my research, I found that it is definitely it is a phenomena of the deers that they do.
Oh, okay.
Because they are a favorite of the hyenas and and the lions of the jungle and the tigers, because of their flesh and especially the baby deers. Now, because the legs of the baby deer are wobbly, and it's very soft, and so they can, if the predator comes, they won't be able to run and save themselves, right? So there isn't, she can't even save them. She will have to run. The mother will have to run. So how does it teach them to walk fast? Okay, she kicks them. So
Acha.
the baby thinks, yeah. So the baby deer thinks, oh my God, it's my mother or what? What's happening? I've just arrived in this world with a kick. And then it just starts sort of, standing on its wobbly leg when the mother deer again gives him a kick on his stomach this time. Poor thing just falls down again tries to get up. She again kicks him. Then he starts to run away from his own mother. I mean, run away as in walk, like those baby steps. That's how it starts to walk. And the mother deer is teaching it to walk, not because, she wants to, she hates him or whatever. It's just so that in the case of, the smell is very strong of this baby being born, a hyena comes or whatever, the baby can actually walk at least until a level, or she can actually see to it that if they are behind some bushes or something like that. And that's ruthless compassion, and I think we
Got
all
it.
need to have that towards ourselves, towards others. That's how great things are achieved.
Makes sense. Right.
Thank
Okay, so let's come back to, before I ask my last question, let's come back to your book again. And I'm going to mention the link of the book in the video below. What can readers expect from your book?
The readers can expect them to meet them through this
Meet
book.
themselves. All right, nice. Okay.
I will take their hand and actually take them into this inward journey. And because I will be holding their hand and taking them through, even if when, like for instances like when they come across their demons and they want to run back, I won't let them, because I work with ruthless compassion. I won't let them. They will be hooked and fixated to the book, and at the end of it, they will become their own mate. Because when
Nice.
when you become your own mate, you are so sufficient and whole in yourself. You become actually a beam of light and hope and love to the world. You become a gift to the world, and then you create this ripple effect of wherever this person will go, they will actually create this ripple effect. And just by their presence, Bitupan, you don't have to do anything. Just by this person's presence, they will
Nice.
exude such aura that others will have that effect on them as well. Imagine living in a world like that. Wow.
Right.
You
We
know,
can sometimes you can actually detect the aura of the person, and I do
yes.
not know. I haven't done much research on this, but what I know is that aura is actually physical. We can literally measure the aura, right? It's some few meters around the human body.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Nice.
Absolute. And I want to say these vibes, Bitupan, that we get from people, na, that you said about aura, you spoke about aura. And sometimes we say that I'm getting, his
Hmm.
presence or her presence in itself is a gift. Or we say, I'm not getting good vibes from him or her, or I'm getting great vibes. We should trust these vibes. It's our soul telling us about,
Hmm.
our aura rejects or simply also embraces our soul tribe.
People can lie. Wives won't lie.
Oh, beautiful,
Thanks.
beautiful, lovely, absolutely true.
Yes. Okay. So the last question that I want to ask you is that uh, you have changed a lot in the last couple of years, right?
Oh
You agree?
yes,
Okay.
completely.
If you meet yourself, who is 18 years old, Swati,
Okay.
let's say you can go back to in a time machine, you meet yourself 18 years back, not 18 years back, you meet yourself as an 18-year-old. What
Yes, yes.
message would you give to yourself, or what suggestion would you tell to yourself about life, about the upcoming days, upcoming years?
What a question, my God. Wow, this is like I'm getting goosebumps. Wow. Thank you for asking me. It's like, oh my God, and I have to actually take a moment.
Please.
Okay. Yeah. So to the 18-year-old me, I think I'm going to just tell her to live, to just live.
Mm,
All my life, up till now, I've always been, I've always been like, okay, I need to do something, and now what's next? I'm a very goal-oriented person. What next? And my next move and next move. Maybe my journey has been like that. Like I was a model child since childhood. My father used to push me to participate into extempore Sanskrit recitation competition, Bhagavad Gita. That's the influence of Bhagavad Gita on me. And since childhood, he used to push me, and I used to participate in the Sanskrit recitation competitions and debates, extempores, and house functions. And I started winning. And as I started winning, then then participating in a particular competition was not enough. I used to not participate to participate. Earlier, I would vehement when
okay.
my father would push me. Later on, I fell in love with it because I wanted to participate because I wanted to win. So
Hmm.
all throughout, and that had such a great influence in my life that all throughout my life I've been like, okay, this education and this higher studies and this achievement and that, and everything I have to do, I have to be the best, and I have to just excel. That's the kind of pressure that I've had on me. Today I just want to tell that 18-year-old Swati to just live. I want to tell her to live, to just be, and to the
Just
only
be.
thing,
Hmm. That's
yeah,
a good one.
to live.
Hmm.
Yeah, to live. And also one thing, to slow down. Slow down. There's
Relax a
enough
bit.
time.
Relax.
Yeah. Yes,
Re-
exactly, exactly. We often say life is short, life is short, life is short. I want to say life is not short. Life is long. I mean, uh, at this age, I think I've achieved. A lot of people tell me you've achieved a lot in this and that. Though I still feel that. Anyways, that's a different discussion altogether. I still feel there is a long, long way to go still. Uh, but yeah, so there's a chapter in my book called Slow is the New Fast. That's what I also learned from the monks during my research for the book in Ladakh. So this
Hmm.
to Swati, the 18-year-old Swati, I just want to say, live, slow down, and just live, and just live.
Nice. Very nice.
Thank
Uh,
you.
okay,
I'm
then.
being honest. I was just being very
No, that's very
honest.
nice, actually. Yeah, I think what else can you say? Live. That's all. Relax and live.
Yeah.
Hmm. Nice. Nice, Swati. It was really nice talking to you. I think we'll close the discussion here. But it was really great talking to you. And I think the last thing that you said, live, is very interesting. Okay.
Thanks, Bitupan. Thank you. It was a great, invigorating conversation, and I think a conversation is always between can only be great if the two people in it are aligned and have the same wavelength. Also, so
Right.
thank you for being a great host, and thank you for asking me such
Welcome.
great questions. And I want to compliment you today that you are such an excellent listener, and
Oh,
you
thank
make
you
a
so
great
much.
interviewer. Yes,
Oh,
and that's what I
yeah.
like in your profile also, wherein you say that
On
you
Facebook
say
profile
yes, you've written host and listener in
and
bracket,
listener. Yeah. No, no, speaker and listener.
speaker and list, which is so great. Which is in fact in my book again there is a whole study that I've done in research about listening, which says hark to the dark. You have to
Hmm.
listen to grow, and you
Hmm.
have it in you. So my compliments to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Swati.
Thank you
Okay.
for having me.
Then it was nice talking and hope to see you soon. Okay. Then bye bye.
Sure. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.